I'm Lieutenant Davis.
And I'm Lieutenant McClung. And today we're going to talk to you about how your public safety officers are preparing for school violence and active shooters.
Up until just a few years ago, law enforcement, fire, and EMS did not train together at all. We were three separate entities charged with doing three separate things. The old-fashioned way was that SWAT would make entry into the building. They would eliminate the bad guy and then search the building, which could sometimes take several minutes to, unfortunately, several hours. And if there were victims on the inside that were bleeding, unfortunately, they would bleed out. They knew something had to be done, and they knew that the system itself was broken. So Homeland Security, along with the University of Texas, came up with a national guideline in which law enforcement gets there first, obviously, eliminates the threat, or at least drives the threat away from the building, or barricades the perpetrator. At that point, we now are able to get fire rescue inside that building quicker. We triage the patients, we figure out which victims need to go first. We then get EMS involved, and EMS either transports the victim via ground or via helicopter to the hospital.
The point of the training today was to get the law enforcement officers, the firefighters, and the EMTs to work together in a more efficient manner. See, cops are really good at going and stopping the bad guy. EMS is really good at treating and transporting, and fire is really good at triaging. What we want to do is be quicker, smoother, and more efficient with those lives.
One of the main things that I got out of today's training was just that communication. My guys are really good at what they do, and fire is really good at what they do. But if we're not on the same page, you have two people doing really good things, but the results could be catastrophic in a child losing their lives, or an incident not ending the way that it needs to end. So opening those lines of communication, whether it is through the radio or just tabletop exercises, to find out what do you guys need, how do you guys want us to respond, would be super important.
Communication is the key to saving lives. If we have the shooter down in the building and we have a secure area for firefighters and EMS to save lives, but nobody outside knows that, then we have children that are bleeding out and people that are dying because we have not getting that message outside in that communication.
So in today's training, it's more advanced than it used to be in the past. Therefore, where officers and law enforcement is able to go in and find the shooter, clear a hallway where fire and EMS can go in and assess the situation while there's still maybe an active shooter inside the school, inside the building.
We're light years ahead where we used to be. Used to, the training was focused on go in, find the shooter, stop the shooter. Our officers are trained well beyond that now. Now we're actually focusing on the command level and how they communicate, that communication element we were just talking about.
And speaking on communication, how did that actually work out when y'all did unified command between the different agencies?
Well, in the beginning it was tough for police because police aren't really good at unified command. However, the firefighters taught us how to do it real well, and we're getting much better at it.
So tell me, what's the importance of diversity of training?
Diversity of training is real important. And what that means is Monroe Police Department's not just training in a vacuum, where they're just training themselves. Because what happens is we get stuck and we get stale in the same old way of doing things, and we don't ever expand our knowledge base. We don't try new things. If we bring in other agencies, let's say Barrow County Sheriff's Office like we did today, And Lieutenant Lateral walks with me and talks with me. We learn things that they're doing that we're not doing, and things that we could do better, and he learns things that he could do better.
Training in different locations is super important because it opens your eyes that because we do it a certain way, that there are multiple ways to do and get the same solution, because not every incident is going to be this is how it was done. You got to have backup plans to backup plans, and by taking training at different locations, whether it's an in-service at your department or an in-service at another department or going some other location, it will open your eyes that there are more ways than one to get the results that you're looking for and have a satisfactory result at the end of your mission.
So, Lieutenant, tell me, how realistic is the training we did here today?
The training today was as realistic as I could possibly make it. I had simunition rounds that the officers don't want to get shot with. I had role players, about 15 or 20 of them. We have smoked up hallways with fog machines. We had fire alarms that go off. We had poor radio communications inside the building, and we had people working together that never worked together before. So that's about as realistic as I can make things at that point in time. However, it'll never be like the real thing.
So realism in training is super important because it allows that officer to kind of feel what an incident might be like, and it allows that officer to realize how they're going to feel, how they're going to react, what do I need to do, what do I need to overcome. But there's no true way of making that happen in training. We can train with everything that's out there, and until that person's in that situation, they don't know. And we train so that the officer knows how they're going to react in a situation should they find themselves in that.
The United States military spent an awful lot of money trying to train the soldier to prepare for the chaos that is war. We're taking a little bit of that training mentality and trying to put it into this training. You can do some, but with the limited resources we have in law enforcement and the public safety community as a whole, that's where we all depend on each other. That's why we had Barrow County Sheriff's Office here today, and we're in the city of Monroe in Walton County. We had Walton County deputies here. We have people from outside our jurisdiction coming here to train because we're going to rely on those resources, because in a mass chaotic situation like that, it's not just going to be us.
There's going to be multiple agencies coming in to assist.
Everybody.
For mutual aid.
Yep, we would have agencies probably as far as Atlanta coming to help, as far as Athens to the east.
And everything should be pretty much the same across the board as far as training and command goes.
All of the basics are the same. There may be some small nuances that are different, but by the time those major agencies from outside start getting here, hopefully there's no longer an emergency threat. The situation now is a life-saving operation to save the children or persons that have been injured during the actual shooting itself, and not the bad guy.
Is there anything that we're doing at law enforcement and public safety for the mentally ill people?
All supervisors at the City of Monroe Police Department have attended and been trained on crisis intervention training. The CIT, or Crisis Intervention Team training concept, evolves people who are in a crisis state and have some kind of mental illness. And what we're doing right now is trying to teach the officers how to deal with that, to de-escalate situations and hopefully catch them before they get to this point.
Mental health is a big challenge in law enforcement, and Barrow County Sheriff's Office takes great pride in the training that we take, and we have many officers that are CIT certified to handle people who may be having a mental crisis.
So, Lieutenant, tell me, is there anything in place in the school system or throughout our community for teens or students inside the school? If they see a threat, hear a threat, any ways they can report it?
Right now, the City of Monroe is supporting and trying to get everybody on board of the See Something, Say Something app. It's an app, a free app that somebody can download to their smartphone. And on the See Something, Say Something app, a person can go on there and they can report crimes directly to their law enforcement agency and not just to the school or the school staff.
If a student was watching this today and was asking themselves, well, how would I report? Our doors are always open as school resource officers inside the school. Our number one goal is to make sure that they're safe and the entire student body is safe. So I would urge that student, if they hear anything, see anything, whether it's on a wall, in a book, on social media, whichever platform it may be, that they report it. They don't have to have their name in the report. We just want to make sure that you're safe and the person who is dealing with whatever incidents going on in their life, that they're also safe and that our community continues to be safe.
I challenge anyone to find the last time a child died in a school fire in the state of Georgia. However, numerous children have died just in the last 10 years in the state of Georgia in school violence and active shooters.
So tell me, really, what does fire have to do with school violence and school shootings?
Well, see, about 50 or 60 years ago, the schools, the parents, and the communities got tired of children dying inside those schools. So they took extreme measures and steps to make sure that didn't happen anymore. They put fire retardant carpet in the school, fire retardant walls in the school, fire retardant roofs in the schools, fire retardant desks in the school. There's nothing in that school except what the children bring in that's designed to burn. If we want to make sure that we prevent school deaths from violence and active shooters, we're going to take those same extreme types of measures as law enforcement officers.
Becoming something that's kind of glamorous to these people that are doing it. They're doing it more for glamour. They know that they're going to be put on the news. The media is going to be all about it. And that's one reason, they do it. They know that's going to happen. They're going to kind of go out in a blaze of glory. So us hitting the situation head on is key for us to, one, put a sense of stability with the parents of these kids that are at the schools. If they know that our training is stable and ongoing, that sense of relief is going to come to them. I know we've had some Barrow County Sheriff's deputies here today. With my kids being in Barrow County schools, that helps me as a parent know that, hey, I know what kind of training their SROs have. So that gives me a sense of relief. While I'm here in Monroe working, I know that my kids are going to be taken care of, in other schools and other counties.